1, 2, 3, 4.
G'day guys, welcome to Roadside. This is the first episode of a brand new show under the TPR umbrella. Now you know my voice, of course, Jethro Gaminagel, host of the Press Room podcast, and of course you see me in many other places around the cycling world. But with this new show, this is a two-party game, and I've got our wonderful co-host alongside me, my good mate, Tom McCracken. Tommy, how you going, mate?
Oh, all the better for seeing you, Jet. Happy to be here. Roadside, powered by Zwift. This is going to be good. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be good, mate. Now, let me pump your tyres up because the people listening will be like, hang on a second, who's this other guy? But let me tell you, Tommy is a smooth operator, educated in the journalist background, sports journalist background. He's worked as a producer for radio stations. I don't really know the lingo, but many radio stations, SEN. He's worked as a journalist for 9 and written stories, done all that sort of stuff. But most importantly, he is a cycling nuffy, a cycling commentator as well, Tommy, working in the likes of China with Guangxi, Chongming Island, and all those crazy.
Not quite Guangxi. I wish I would love to get to Guangxi. Qinghai.
All the races that the riders
Qinghai.
love doing at the end of the year.
Yep. No, mate, I reckon that's the longest Palmares I've ever heard for someone of my caliber. But hey, mate, I'll run with it. I'll grab it with both hands because this is the pinnacle of evidently cycling and sports media is to be on a pod. But no, we're going to have a bit of fun. We're going to outline, and I'll try and bring, I don't know, a news element, and you can bring the punting element to it.
I'll definitely bring the punting element. Now, for those wondering what the hell is Roadside, well, let me tell you this, okay? Roadside is a pro cycling news show, okay? But it's balancing perfectly the seriousness, right? We'll give our takes, we'll sort of cover the lay of the land, but it's also going to be hilarious and funny and plenty of piss takes. I know that you guys are going to love it. And Tommy and I, we worked as commentators together at many races, and that's just happening a lot these days. And half of our commentary is really just taking the piss out of each other.
Yeah, we're fresh off. We're in fine form as well, aren't we, mate? We are in exceptional form. Tour de France form. Third week Tour de France form. We're pushing out big numbers. We're fresh off the back of Tour Margaret River, one of the biggest races here in Western Australia. They do a phenomenal job put up by UCI. That was last weekend. And I think that was the most feedback, the most positive feedback for what I could only describe as like B-grade commercial radio chit chat, and everybody just loved it. I couldn't put I was like, if this is resonating, then we've got a market for this, mate.
Yeah. And for all the East Coasters, Tour Margaret River is like our biggest 3-day stage race. And as much as it's for the sort of A graders as well, there's 120 teams and there's divisions for each. It goes down to A to I. And, once you get past basically Division B, B to I are all your punters. And so my lips are still chapped from that weekend. That's how big the weekend is. But our main topics that we're getting into this first episode, we're in the off season of professional cycling, Tommy, and we're going to be going through a lot of stuff, a lot of the latest news. We're talking about Pog's new cash injection. We're talking about the salary cap discussions in cycling at the moment, which looks like it could be coming into play. And we're also going to discuss Tom Pidcock and what his career is going to, where it's going to go after 2025.
Yeah, there's plenty on the menu, plenty on the table. Without further ado, I reckon let's dive in. Roadside, presented by Zwift.
Roadside, presented by Zwift. It's time for the Pirelli Roadside News. Now, of course, before we stuck into this, FE Sports are back. We love FE and Pirelli. They are the segment sponsor of our news, Seggy. Now, Tommy, mate, what are we talking about first off the cuff?
Oh, look, mate, this, unsure when you're putting out this lovely audio file, but fresh off the table today, mate, is Steve Cummings. He's decided that he's out of Ineos. I love the little personal media touch he had. He just wrote something up on LinkedIn, slapped it up, and that was it.
He did a LinkedIn post.
That was it. It was a LinkedIn post from his own LinkedIn. And so all the media team, I could imagine in Ineos are just going like, oh my Lord, here we go. Oh, look, I'm 80% sure I read it was a LinkedIn post. But other than that, it was, that really has grabbed the headlines off the back of what you just mentioned earlier, Pog's payroll.
Yeah.
Big cash injection to, one of the greatest of all times. You know, he's cementing his name on every road, every race he seems to sort of be pulling apart.
What's the deal? What's he got? He's got 50 mil for what, the next 8 years or
50
something?
mil across 8 years. So 8 mil a year is what he's going to be running at. Do you reckon that's cheap?
8 mil euro. It is euro, by the
Yeah.
way. Well, I just thought he was already on $8 million a year. It seems like, I mean, you heard about reports that Sagan was on $7 million a year, 10 years ago in his heyday. But what I do like is the $2 million buyout. I mean, what's the like?
2,200,000.
Oh, 200. Yeah, 200.
2 mil,
Oh,
mate. 2 mil. Remco's charging way more. Well, Patrick Lefevre.
200. Does the team say that? They go, "Look, we'll release how much his contract is worth, near enough, but we'll also definitely include the 200 mil buyout clause to Red Bull or to Tudor, any other team that might be rolling in with extra cash."
Well, yeah, potentially. I saw some posts as well. I think it was, I don't know, someone posting regarding rider status, and there was almost like a cause of concern now that these rider buyouts are going to become the norm, and it could almost restrict riders who are in a team and they want to leave. And these buyouts will just become commonplace in every contract. And as we do see in cycling, it always takes time for things to sort of cement across a number of years. And it generally always starts with the bigger names, doesn't it? Like this.
Oh, yeah.
So no one's buying out 200 mil. Let's be real.
This is similar to what I've read about in the AFL at the moment. They're talking about contracts at the moment and players, getting bought out of their contracts and moving willy-nilly.
The thing with AFL players,
Yeah.
they're getting players. So, like, take the Brodie Grundy scenario for all those listening. I'll keep this short if you're not a footy person. He was at Collingwood. They signed him to 8 years at $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Collingwood went, "We don't actually need you. We're going to ship you off to Melbourne." But then Melbourne they kept paying part of his salary. That was part of the deal.
Yes.
So Collingwood kept paying part of his salary,
So
rather.
he's still getting the same salary.
Yeah, precisely. So the deal worked for him. And then he ended up actually going to Sydney because he wasn't getting a game in Melbourne, with Melbourne and Collingwood both paying parts of his salary. So there's talk of that happening.
Well, it's like baseball is similar. Baseball is just cut and dry. It is cold, hard, you're traded. See you later.
Gone.
There's no
Ice
discussion.
hockey
There's
is
just, it's all
brutal.
backroom. Yeah.
It is brutal.
Yeah,
isn't
the players don't get a say. You're moving states, you're moving countries, you're sold. And with cycling, it's probably easier because they all live in like 3 or 4 main places anyway. So you're not necessarily uprooting your whole life, unless you're moving to Movistar, you have to learn Spanish.
Well, Remy Cavagna, the French time trialist, he's certainly tried as hard as hasn't he? And he's already he's done 1 year at Movistar, and he wants to pull the parachute. He wants to get out of here.
The whole team wants to pull the paracord.
They certainly do. Nah, look, Pog, he has he's done a number, and I believe their director, he came out as well, and he's like, he's off the market. He doesn't want to go anywhere. Yeah. He's happy there. He rules the roost. He's the head chef in the kitchen.
Yep.
But off the back of that, mate, as well, Remco, the Remco rumour mill, it keeps on floating, and this was from HLN analysis. I think I'm going to get this right. Michael Wust, a Dutch journalist, he revealed Remco turned down a reportedly large deal from Red Bull. That was included, there was the money, there was the buyout.
Oh, yes.
I heard rumours of this as well, and I thought it sounded like a done deal, and it hasn't. Is this just a matter of time that Remco just turns his back on Quickstep? Because they've gone this whole project Remco for a number of years. They brought in Lander, and I hear that they're gauging other climbing support.
I mean, Lander was like, I think that almost got him to stay a couple of years, or last year, because it seems like Remco's had rumours about him leaving for the last 3 years. And I know for a fact Ineos were extremely close. I was told it was Remco coming to Ineos a following year, 2 years ago, and it never happened. And his dad came out. I think when you're managed by your dad, it's not a...
There are such professional operators who are just elite at like Signature Sports out of Melbourne. They manage Caleb, Jack Hagan.
That's the great man.
Just get a professional agent who is. There's so much money at stake.
Would he pay his dad?
And you bloody hope so, wouldn't you?
Weird, though,
absolutely. It would be so odd. Imagine your dad underperforms, doesn't get enough sponsored contracts or something coming in.
Yeah.
What do? Do you put him in the bin?
What does he pay his dad? It just gets weird. You shouldn't mix finances with family. It's not a good idea.
What
When
do you
you're
pay
earning
your dad?
10 million or not. What if he what if you find him? Eventually he wants to change. His dad will disown him or he'll So it's interesting, but I feel like Remco's just inevitable. He's going to move eventually.
To Red Bull or maybe to Ineos. It's going to be really interesting as well because obviously with Pidcock staying, something we'll talk about a little bit later, what Ineos do with sort of the purse that they have at the moment and how much money they have in their bank account, are they going to have another really solid run at him next year? That's going to be really interesting to keep tabs on. And Red Bull, like Remco, he's a legend. He's fast become a legend, but Roglic is also fast becoming slow. And I say that in the nicest way possible. Like they clearly want to stay. They have worked so hard to get to the top of cycling.
Yeah,
they do not want to drop off.
Yeah, and you've seen Ineos do it now. They're falling away, and we'll talk about that maybe next episode. But I think their funding's actually falling away. What else we got here? We got the blokes. Oh yes, here we go. Tommy, what's this next one? This looks interesting.
Well, it was the status quo, wasn't it, for the guys? There's all this talk of like moving, the pieces around the table and all this hoo-ha. Apart from what Benny O'Connor maybe coming home was big transfer news, but probably not unsurprising.
Yeah.
The women's transfer season on the other side of the sport was absolutely dramatic. Demi Vollering, she lost the Tour de France by a handful of seconds. She's off. She's thrown in the towel with her current team, and she's off to FDJ. That was the first sort of piece to move around. That prompted a move from Cecilia Ludwig. She's gone off to Canyon. How do you see both of those transfers working, particularly Ludwig, who, you've spoken with? I imagine you would have seen her at Tour de France Femmes.
Oh, yeah.
How's that going to work when she does join up with Nieuwedonna at Canyon?
Well, Vollering, first of all, is going to be I'm excited to see how she will go. There's plenty of good climbers there. I think they've got Labous as well, a climber in that rank. So I think Vollering's going to perform. But Ludwig, I was under the impression that Ludwig and Cassia Niewiadoma were not friends. And I actually put this to one of their directors and Cassia's coach in a great man, Stephen Gallagher, who lives in WA, actually. He works very close with Kenyon Schramm. And I asked him, I said, do they even get along? And he said, no, they do. They do get along. And in fact, it was Cassia Niewiadoma who actually said, no, we need to get Cecilia in the team. And she wanted her to be in the team when they identified that Cecilia Uttrup-Ludwig was out of contract for this year. So I reckon, if anything, Tommy, it'll make Cassia's life easier. And I said to Stephen, you'll sit next to me, I said, I reckon now that Cassia's won the Tour de France Femmes and she's won Amstel Gold, she's got all the monkey off the back. I think that plus Ludwig will equal even more wins for Cassia.
Yeah, it certainly has that potential, doesn't it? Like, she is such an aggressive rider, almost just hits out at the wrong time in so many circumstances because she has to. That's how she's going to win a race.
And she will also win more, Tommy, because Vollering now no longer has her ally in Kopecky in those classics. It will be those two looking at each other and then Cassia goes, catch ya. And,
that's what I'm excited to see. That's what I'm really excited to see is how... Because FDJ, it is such a sad news, I think, in my opinion, that Grace Brown is leaving. Because could you imagine how good having someone like Brown in Demi Vollering's corner would just be? It would just be dynamite on those crazy days. Obviously, there was a lot of other transfer news around, but we're just sort of focusing on the GC riders.
Yep.
Mate, I think it's going to be an exciting season to come. Also, on cue, the Tour de France routes, they were announced, they came out, the big show in Paris. What did you like, the big show? Do you like the big auditoriums filled up?
Well, apparently no one does. They couldn't get any bloody riders to go there. They stand them all up and it's weird to see the riders wearing weird kit. They've all got weird styles. I think they got Cav. They barely got a word out of him, but none of the other big shots were there. I don't think Vingegaard was there. Pog wasn't there. And to be honest, when the Tour de France routes come out, I don't look at any of it. I just want the the one infographic on Twitter that some page always posts that shows you the profiles. And I go, right, I can make a call from there. Tell me
So
how
you don't dive into the climbs that they're using. You don't go, oh, they used that one.
No, I go.
Oh, that was the one that Laurent Fignon rolled someone on. You don't
do that?
Oh, mate, yeah, I love the history. Oh, how could you not want to know that sort of stuff?
Well,
we're going to pour into it. We've got plenty of time before the summer of cycling kicks off.
Yes,
so we got time to go into it.
Next step.
But the routes were announced. I like both of them just quickly.
Yep.
I think the Contador,
women's
the great Alberto Contador, Big Bert, he came out and said, if I was racing, I would like this route. The mountain time trial.
Okay.
So it's that sort of climbing sort of route. And in the women's, big finale towards the back end of it. I'd like to see it a little bit longer, a couple more stages. But beggars can't be choosers.
Yep, for sure.
Now, on contract news back home, Jayco sort of swinging the axe a little bit.
Are they?
Yeah, so Blake Quick, Rudy Porter, to my understanding, still without a contract for 2025. So they're two riders who have come through sort of the NRS, they've come through the state programs. Blake Quick, very fast sprint finisher. Really handy, versatile rider. Was sort of brought in and was hoping to be matured as a B-grade sprinter. Rudy Porter, I believe he won an under-23 nationals or junior nationals in form.
He started really well this year too.
Yeah, he did. So I saw in a post they've come out and they've thanked them for their services.
They're not coming back.
Well, they've kind of said thank you, like thanks for everything. Oh yeah, as you're madly frantic, typing away, I'll carry on. Yeah, mate, I
can understand
soak this information.
I can understand Rudy Porter because maybe just turns in results in terms of maybe his rider type. He hasn't quite flourished since leaving, but I mean, I would not be getting rid of Blake Quick. Maybe he hasn't quite got the results they were looking for, but I mean, as Blappy would say, Blake's probably one of the most talented. He's like a Matthews level of talent. It just hasn't been realised yet. So I'd be so surprised if they get rid of the big quickie. I guess we'll see. It's they've only got so much room. When you're bringing in someone like Ben O'Connor, you've got Plappy there taking some salary.
Here we go. A couple of days ago, thanks for the ride, boys. Lucas, Callum, Blake and Rudy. It's been a pleasure having you all on board as a part of the Green Edge family over the years. Good luck in the future. We'll see you around.
Does that mean they don't race for Jayco next year?
Well, as my understanding, when you've got Lucas Hamilton in this post, and I'm sure there's official media as well out there. It's not quite on the level of Steve Cummings just posting on his own LinkedIn.
Steve Cummings hasn't won bloody Bay Crits in Geelong. He hasn't put on the big Guernsey. What? Hey,
but on some news of Blake Quick, I think it was Noosa Try. Yeah. He was on the podium, he was right up there. So he's rolling around. He's obviously in good form.
He'll have a team. If he didn't have a team, he probably wouldn't be riding.
Maybe off to Astana, we'll see. I hope not.
I've got a bone to pick with them later, fucking Astana.
Yeah, Cameron Scott as well. Another Australian, still waiting for a contract. He was sort of scrapping around this year. He had some results, I want to say, late in the year.
Yeah. Just needs the right calendar.
Yeah, you get the right calendar if you
Conti Asian calendar. That's where I just said him. Because
like Jensen Flower Rider, we're talking here, just going to Qinghai.
Yes.
I think
100%.
Yeah, and that's always the possibility. And I think those teams need to adjust and go, hey, we've got 30 riders sitting here in a roster. We can send one going well with 6 other riders, and they can go to races like Qinghai, and they can get UCI points because every team now is just scrambling. Decisions are just being made on UCI points, and we're in sort of this cycle as well of the relegation. We've still got a year to go.
Oh, that's true.
This is a whole nother story, but it's going to be interesting. Every contract period, there's always talks of riders going, well, I rode in service of others and I don't have UCI points. I have no value.
Yeah. Well, that's how he goes. Well, hey, that was the Pirelli roadside news. Now, Pirelli, right? I've got Pirelli on both my bikes, Tom. All my bikes, actually. Got them on the road bike. And I've got these tyres about to spruik too. I just had to look. And, of course, my gravel tyres.
You rocking them tubeless?
Oh, the graveler, for sure.
No, the road.
No. My wheels aren't set up for tubeless. This is like a 2016 bike.
You're living in the past.
Yeah, rim brake. I love it. But I was on tubeless before anyone else was anyway. These wheels, I don't. Anyway, the point is, P0 P0 Road. That is that's the tyre that we're spruiking at the moment. The P0 Road. It's available in tubular, right, and also just normal. Is it called clincher?
Yes, it is a clincher. It is bloody called clincher, mate.
I don't know
my
the fucking terms anymore.
It is
but
clincher.
Anyway,
yes.
This is the mid-range tyre. Okay, this is what I really liked about the Reed. I don't need to read all the stat sheets because Pirelli are good. They make the F1 tyres.
They are.
That is my thing. When someone asks me why do you use the tyres you use, I say because they use Pirelli in F1. That technology has to trickle down. It has to trickle down.
It's inevitable.
To car tyres and to bike tyres. For the gravel, I use that because that's what Trekkie told me to use, and he's the best gravel rider in Australia and one of the top 5 in the world.
Yeah, he knows.
And for the road, mate, they use them. Max Verstappen uses these. Anyway, what I really liked in the write-up was that they are good for puncture protection as well as being a fast tyre. And the technology, guys, is called the Tech Belt Carcass for excellent.
The carcass. Did I read that right? The carcass.
The carcass. I do like it. I love a good name. And the carcass is probably going to be someone's nickname at Nationals later next year. But anyway, that was the Pirelli roadside news. We've got more of that coming. We're getting stuck into the salary caps and Tom Pidcock after this. Roadside presented by Zwift, Jethro Gammy-Nagel, Tom McCracken. Tommy, salary caps in pro cycling. Now, I think it was Escape Collective. They put out this article that they did, a really good write-up as well, outlining the fact that salary caps are being discussed by the UCI. And I guess it's off the back of probably the last 3 years where we've had 1, 2 or 3 teams just dominating all of the races and taking all of the points. And it was probably even more evident this year with UAE just taking the piss. Now, as they discuss it, I want to talk about whether or not it will even make a difference, and will it be good for the sport? And I've got an argument for against it. Okay, now I like it both ways, but my against argument is this: if the salary cap makes it more fairer, say it's €20 million a season per team, something like that, it'll take away the underdog story. I like the idea, and I like the discussion of your Intermarchés or your EFs with the lower budgets stepping up and winning a stage or coming third on the podium. And it's like a much more, I don't know, it's a better story because they've got no budget. They've got a bloody camper van instead of a bus, and they get up and get the win against the €50 million or the unlimited budget UAE, so to speak. And I reckon if you even the playing field with the monies, well, then it takes away that Cinderella story. And I reckon that's such a cool part about cycling.
Yeah, you got to make do with what you've got. But I don't know about that, because when you've got the teams who just come in and they do buy riders, how dominant was Sky over a number of years? Mate, they were rampant over everybody because they could afford the best domestics.
They were dominant at the tour, but not necessarily anything else.
And, well, mate, a big portion of cycling, that's what
true.
it is.
That's true.
The Tour de France.
Yep.
If you're not finding success at the Tour de France, you won't retain sponsors.
True.
So salary caps, I reckon you're just saying that to get on the side of all the riders who are, earning a good crust here and there.
No, that's all the riders who are not earning any crust.
Well, I reckon the ones, the big names, they want it to keep going. Poggy's payroll, I think that's proof in the pudding.
Well, Tommy, this is another thing. This is where I like it, because I like the idea of, let's say, for example, in F1 and AFL, and I think NBA as well, implement this. You have your salary cap of 20 million, and it could look like this for cycling. Say it's €20 million, but each team is allowed 3 riders and 3 staff members, and those 6 entities can sit outside the cap. So you could pay them each $100 million, but their salaries, their top 3 salaries in the staff and the riders sit outside of the cap, and then that allows you to have your luxury riders and luxury staff, so to speak. That's what F1 does, and it works in the AFL as well, the Australian Footy League. Now, where it gets interesting, and I actually want to read about this stuff, is that teams can go around it. Say they've maxed out their 20, and they've also paid their top 3, their Pog, their Almeida, and who else they got?
The big boys have had their fill.
The big boys have had their fill. Yeah. Well, now, let's say Emirates want to kick in some cash of their own. So what they do, they sign Mark Hershey. They re-sign him after making the mistake of letting him go. Re-sign him, but they can't pay him much. It's got to fit him in the cap. They say, look, we'll give you €100,000 a season. Sorry, that's all we got. But then Emirates, they give him a job. A silly job that means nothing, just a paper job, and they call him Chief of Leadership at Emirates. Now, nobody knows what that is or how much it costs, but they pay him €6.3 million a season to do it. So his total salary is 6.4. That is actually how other sports get around it, Tom.
Mate, that's exactly what's happened down at the Geelong Cats. And there's always a lot of rumours happening around down at Geelong and the football club down there that there's guys who just, they get given, obviously Ford is a big backer of Geelong, that they, all of a sudden they get given a car as part of a sponsorship
or
deal.
land. They give out land.
Their coach, Mr. Scott, he has been appointed months ago as the chief leadership operator down at one accounting firm or something like that. So, and there was a photo, he did the stupid office headshot and everything. And the AFL, they ran by it, and then obviously media picked it up and they were like, nah, come on, surely not.
So technically,
what's he doing down there?
He doesn't do that job. That job doesn't exist, but nobody knows that. I mean, think of all the jobs now in like the corporate world. There's plenty of jobs that don't actually do anything. They do a little bit more, but...
In saying that, there's leadership roles at football clubs and at cycling teams where there's ex-riders who have been around the sport or maybe even in a different sport who do operate as leadership mentors.
True.
At the sport. Damien Martin, he's one of the leadership operators at Fremantle.
Okay.
So that's basketball to footy. But salary caps, I think you've quickly got to differentiate that. You've got your soft cap, you've got your staff, your back room. I would like to see that in cycling because that is manageable in my opinion, to be able to put a soft cap in place for teams.
So soft cap would just be all the team staff,
infrastructure, how
catering.
much. Yeah, because you can buy seconds in cycling. It's like F1. If you spend more time in the wind tunnel, you can buy seconds. Not a lot of the teams can actually afford to spend that much time in the wind tunnel.
They cap wind tunnel time too. So would they cap equipment in cycling?
Exactly.
Imagine that.
I don't think you can because there's too much commercial issues with, bike brands. They'd be like,
cap the number of chains. Because they put new chains on every bike. Remember that guy? Who was it? Pierre Roland. He used to put on the ceramic. This was like the first ceramic coated chains.
Yeah, and he used to do it every day.
Every day of the tour to come 11th or like crash on a hairpin. So maybe there could be that, like limits on frames or, I don't know, limits on wheels.
No, you can't limit that because there's people out there who would buy the wax chains, and they that's what it's all about, is sponsoring the top tier of the crust in cycling to be able to be on show. But you can limit certain elements of it.
Okay.
But I reckon you've got to have a soft cap, and it's interesting in this article, Dane Cash from Escape Cycling, sensational journalist, one of the best in the business. He's looked into what PwC, a consulting firm, they've presented to UCI, which they've greenlit a stack of a few variants of what a soft cap might look like. And they're looking at trying to implement something in around 2026.
Really?
If you can, yeah, mate. Yeah, oh, yeah.
What would the number be?
Well, what do you reckon the budgets are at the moment at UAE?
Oh,
what do you reckon the budgets are actually of a mid-tier team?
Well, you can look at, remember there's that guy in a ring. He usually posts all the accounts of the teams that have been
just go
made
off the
public.
vibe. Give me the vibe.
Off the vibe, I think the average team would be on maybe €23 million. I think that's an average team, and the lowest low, I don't know who earns the most, it's probably Jayco or Lotto. It's probably like 10 million these days.
I don't know if you're right or wrong. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I'm very close. I look at that inner ring thing every time.
You are on the money, I reckon.
Emirates, when UAE Emirates first came into the cycling, it's when they had Christoph. They signed him. They signed a whole bunch of people, and they kind of sucked as a team because they were still taking over from what was that Italian team?
Lamprey.
Lamprey Marina.
What an outfit.
Imagine riding a Marina. And sorry, everyone's got one, but they suck. Fucking Marina. Imagine being Alexander Christoph.
If Marina want to sponsor this pod, I will jump on a Marina. I will
Remember that Marina at Bahrain had one too? Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? I can't remember. Oh, yes. When they first got into it, I think after the second or third year, they upped their budget. And apparently, reportedly then, it was around 50 million. That was in 2017. So I don't think they have a budget now. You can't pay Pog 10 million euros a season and you've got another 30 riders. I mean,
Yeah, but all those riders, like, Michael Vink, who's on their list for this year, I don't know, he's one of those riders who's out of contract.
Is he at My Shush?
Yeah. He's the guy who did like the Zwift equivalent.
No. My Shush is the worst platform ever. Let me tell you this, Tommy.
Yeah.
Okay,
mate, I raced against Vinky, and Vinky's a monster.
He's a monster.
Tell me a story.
Let me just take a shit. My Push and any other platform. You can have better graphics, which is also impossible. Long way away from Zwift's graphics, which is amazing. You can have better racing elements or something in your My Push, or what else is there? Ruby, or someone's bought that already. But it doesn't matter how good those platforms say they are. This is the number one thing here, Tommy. Nobody's on it. There ain't nobody on it, mate.
No one's racing.
There's 10 to 15,000 users on it 24/7. If you're like me, racing people in the morning at 6 a.m., you're fighting against the Japanese and the US.
I would not want to be your neighbour. Hey.
So you've got the lightweight Japanese, and then you've got the Lion United States. They're just putting their weights down, putting them up.
So when you're swinging your 300 watt limit around at like 6 in the morning.
No, seriously, yeah. My bush, what a load of shit that shit platform is. But Zwift is fantastic. And it's actually the Tour of Watopia is on right now, Tommy. And you get double XP points. So for this time of the year, runs for 2 weeks. I think till the 24th it's running, Tour of Watopia. All your XP is doubled. Now, you still need to get on Zwift a little bit more than me. And of course, Megan. Megan is, she's like level 50. But double XP this fortnight is the quickest way to level up, and then you unlock all the bikes, and you can get the Tron bike, Tommy.
You're going to need a full app to give me the downline Zwift.
Well, I gave it. Yeah,
I just raw dogged it, mate, back in the day, and it is
just Ergo Garage,
and then like chuck on a 2013 Roubaix, mate. That was it. But no, things have changed, and I'm sure my mental state in cycling back when I was racing would have been a lot better if I actually used Zwift.
Bit of Ergo. Well, we love Zwift. Now, one thing about the salary cap that might be a negative is what about the women's side of the sport? Their monies, their salaries now are only just reaching a level, at least in the Women's World Tour spot, where it's actually attractive to be a professional rider. So if they implement a cap into the women's, it's just starting to explode. These women are trying to get paid, and what if it could limit theirs?
Yeah, but there was an avenue that was explored by PwC that it presented to the UCI, and it was a redistribution tax. And I think this could be the way to be able to create, because cycling is such an unbalanced sport. So say you got the limit of, say, like $40 million in the men. If you are UAE, and every dollar you're spending over that 40 mil, you get taxed, say, 20%.
Right.
On the dollar.
Okay.
So then that could create a slush fund that can be redistributed appropriitely. So maybe even women's teams, we'll see. Maybe the bottom tier men's teams.
Yeah.
It would certainly pay dividends for teams to stay in the World Tour if you were a benefactor of that. I don't know how you'd be able to do that with the pro tour teams as well.
Maybe the cap's just for the men's, because it's not really, the women's.
I agree, but I still think there's a way to be able to bring in money from the men's side, the top tier of the sport, and redistribute it across accordingly. But in saying salary caps, load of crap, UCI should still be stepping up and doing more.
Yeah. No,
and if UCI, mate, in a dream world, if they owned the Tour de France, the money that would go back into the teams and everyone would be able to have a stake, it would be a game changer.
That would be a lot. One cycling, maybe we can talk about that one time.
Oh.
Still living. It's still.
Is it?
I don't know.
Surely not.
No, it's still rumbling. You mentioned 20% tax, by the way. My bracket's more the 75% tax. It's tough when you get up this high, Tommy.
After you put your invoice for Margs over the weekend, you're going to be floating up those brackets.
I looked at last year's. It's a lot more than I thought. Now, our next port of call, Tommy Pidcock, Korea. Tommy Pidcock right now, isn't he? He's been a bit of a pest. It doesn't look good for anyone when a rider, I don't know, when there's a beef between riders and staff and they're trying to leave, then they don't, and maybe they're a rider that's a bit more focused on their individual results rather than the team stuff, which I think is kind of part of the reason why things have fell apart with Tommy Pidcock. But you just never let good, do you, Tommy? And just to give a bit of context, basically since the Olympics, the rumours started sort of popping up about Pidcock's relationship with this team, Ineos, which, to be honest, is just starting to deteriorate. And the relationship was becoming strained due to Pidcock's reluctance to put Ineos and their team's goals ahead of his own. So it was probably brewing a bit longer than that, maybe across the last couple of years, just with his focus on the mountain bike and CX, which are really individual sports. Doesn't matter what jersey you're wearing, it's an individual sport. And at the end of the season, it kind of came to a head. He was taken out of the Lombardia. De fact, even though their team was dog shit, no disrespect to their riders, but they didn't have anyone.
There was no one up there. I think it was, Grand Piemonte, like a handful of days before. Pidcock was like maybe fifth.
Yeah, fifth or sixth or something. So he was in form. They took him out like the day before, didn't say anything. It was so weird. Like, they're supposed to be they would have like 10 PR staff there, and they'd go, nah, we'll just say nothing. But
if you've got nothing good to say in the media world, don't say it.
Yeah. And then the vultures started coming. This was rumours. Q36.5 were trying to sign him. They were probably the only team with any space left in their budget because it's pretty late. It was only like last month. Ineos they would say they'd cover half the salary. Red Bull were interested, but it was probably something for next year that they were thinking about.
How's that? Paying half the salary, €3 million, and Ineos are just at the point they were looking to just say, look, if you want to do that, we can move you on. I also heard there was a relationship with Pinarello Brewing with Q36.5.
Well, that's true. That is true. And they've spent so much time on that mountain bike. They built their very first mountain bike, Pinarello mountain bike, that he's won gold with at the Olympics. It's, they've obviously spent a lot of R&D. They're not ready to finish with him yet. So in a nutshell, it looks very, very likely that Pidcock won't race for them in 2026. Looks like he's stuck with them for 2025. And
you say that now, though. Things can change.
They can.
He has his own group, Pidcock. He's at a level where he has his troupe, he has his manager and a few other mechanic and whatever. He has a crew. Mate, he could very well and truly bring, galvanise Ineos and really bring him to play. It could be a possibility. So if he's looking, I've heard that he's gone on the Tour de France bus and has been like, I'm riding for myself. And that attitude. And he is a bit self-indulgent with how he wants to approach it.
Yep.
I get that. But I also go like, if he's at Ineos for another year, and who knows what Ineos' transfer season is going to look like in a year's time, they may go, we've just got to keep him.
Well, I don't know. It looks to me from the outside that Ineos are falling apart. I think their teams, their signings for this year, I mean, geez, they didn't sign anyone good, like any big stars. They might have... they're losing, we saw Cummings leaving. That's a weird decision. And for me, the biggest one of the entire thing that makes me think that Ineos is falling apart and it's probably going to be wrapping up very soon is the fact that Luke Rowe did not stay with the team. He became a DS at AG2R. Now, for me, if Luke Rowe is going to leave the team or he's going to retire, which is inevitable, of course, he got to the end of a great career, if he's becoming a DS anywhere, for me, he doesn't leave Ineos. He's got his great mate there, Geraint Thomas, all the staff. He's been there his entire career, and they've taken chances with him and, of course, given him a lot of leeway as well. When he broke his leg on that Bucks-Tour at the start of the bloody preseason.
Yeah, he was on the gas then, wasn't he?
He goes to AG2R. How could that happen? And they just...
Decathlon,
excuse
get onto it, mate.
Decathlon, they shipped him out, and then they got rid of Steve Cummings anyway. So they've obviously got space. So that just shows me that that Ineos are falling apart, and Luke Rowe's probably seen the writing on the wall and said, you know what, I'm getting off this ship and drinking piss down the pub with Geraint in the off-season. So, I don't know. Ineos, I just hope that my man Kwiatkowski lands somewhere safe, Tommy, when they all fall apart.
Yeah, he could be hanging up the wheels. Brian Smith, who you'll know.
Yep.
Commentator, very iconic voice. He was a hub of GCN. He's come on and has really blasted Steve Cummings leaving, and he's gagged it all, and he's said he was one of their biggest assets and a major boost to any other team. He's talked about, that's going to be a big hole to fill. And that could be, I don't know if it's Pidcock pushing Cummings out the door. I don't know if it's like I stay, he goes. I'd like to just wait and see if out of the situation, because in my, outside looking in, it does look a little bit that way, doesn't it?
No, it does. I mean, we don't know what bloody happens inside there, but maybe Cummings will say, he'll just tweet it or put it on his LinkedIn.
Oh, I would love that. Oh, yes.
The
big
LinkedIn post is
backflip,
road.
yes.
Does any cyclists have LinkedIn?
Mate, they all do.
No, they don't.
Professional athletes have it, and they say professional athlete
Okay.
at, the Coombe Cricket Club or something like that. And they've, mate, people have it for some particular reason. So kudos to them.
All right. Okay. So, Tommy, if you were Pidcock and you're talking with your managers, you're talking about your next 3 or 4 years, what would you do? What would you be telling your managers to seek for? And I'll tell you mine.
He wants a space where he can be himself, and he also wants to be able to, I reckon, bring a couple of riders in. He likes to do things by himself, but I reckon he needs a couple of good mates, a couple of good domestics who just go, righto, we ride for Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Where is guys?
They're part of the package.
Yeah, 1 or 2, like when Damar went to Arkea, he brings Scottson,
Okay.
That sort of deal.
Brings Uraj.
Exactly.
Naro man.
And
your shit brother.
and Bodnar.
I said Quintana's shit brother, like Uraj. Uraj sucked, but we loved him, Uraj.
Oh mate, he was okay at the end of his career.
Good.
He had one really good year at the end of his career.
He had a great World Championships when Sagan won in Doha. Yeah. Remember the crosswinds? The last rider across to the crosswind was Sagan, but Uraj was already in there.
He was.
And he sent him back for a bottle.
He never tried.
Never got back. How could you send him back? He'd be so thirsty.
Yeah, he would have been, mate. He could nating on to the feed station.
So you're saying you put together a package of riders, find those riders, the support crew of your 4 or 5, maybe your mechanics, and maybe a DS, a physio,
and buy into Ineos.
And then what?
Buy into Ineos. Oh. So Ineos have picked him up and gone, mate, we want to win the Tour de France with you. Now, I've heard that's kind of the case in point, that they wanted him to become the next big GC thing.
Yeah.
I don't reckon that'll happen. Whatever comes of him, I think he just needs to galvanise Ineos and really dive headfirst in, maybe even sign another 2-year contract at the end of next year with Ineos. A backloaded 2-year contract in the second year. But I just think for them, keep him there. I like him. You tell me, what other classics rider do they have now that Navarez is gone?
Oh, where did he go?
UAE.
Oh, Navarez. That is such a good sign. I forgot it. There's been so many transfers. Well, look, they probably don't have... Well, what about the big clock, Ben Turner? If he can stop... he's got a bit of bad luck.
Yeah,
but
if he can stop sleeping on the road, he'll be good, yes.
This is what I would do if I was Tom Pidcock. I would forget about the Tour de France. Because in his lifetime, there's no way he is winning. And if he wants to race the Tour de France, you can't be doing mountain bike and you can't be doing CX. Look at Cadel Evans. He had to stop mountain biking and focus on the Tour. They're completely different energy systems.
No, they are.
He's got the bloody Olympic golds now. Leave it alone. The CX, he can only win when it's super muddy. And if it's not super muddy, like I'm super, super muddy, and he starts P1. Otherwise, I mean, you got Van Aert, you got Thibaut Nice now there as well, and of course Van der Poel. It's just not happening. So I would just focus on classics because I think he's got a really good chance. If you focus more on the classics, hilly classics, flat classics as well.
Imagine if you took him to the Tour and he went and won 3-4 stages.
Oh, 100%. Win the big down. You become a superstar.
You would. And particularly in the UK cycling, which it just seems that like Ineos, geez, they've lost their supporter base a little bit. Or their supporter base maybe at the moment is just wavering. It's just, they're on the back burner and it's simmering.
Because they're unsure. All these stars are leaving. They've only got the old dog. Tom Pidcock's an exciting rider. Watching him sit in the bunch in the GC, just tapping away, slowly not trying to get dropped. That's not
put
him.
Forks in my eyes. Absolutely not.
He's a beast when it comes to cornering at high speeds. He's a great descender. He loves the gravel stuff. He loves when it's wet. He loves when it's feral. I would prefer to see him in all those elements rather than just, I mean, how leaner could he get? How smaller could he get? It's I want to see him nice and fit and strong and over the classics. That's what I'd be doing. And who gives a fuck about 5th in the Tour, mate? I mean,
I don't know, mate. Top 5 of the Tour. No, don't you blow that off. That's a bloody good result, mate. If someone came to me and said, you're going to get 5th at the Tour in your career,
but you'll never win anything else. Would you take that,
mate? Fucking oath. Absolutely.
Would you take 2 wins of the Tour of China or a 25th at the Tour de France?
Oh,
GC. 15th.
Let me tell you, these
polka
races
dots.
in China, mate, they pull out the US spondoolies at the end of the race, mate, particularly back in the day as well. It's hello, good sir, envelope in hand.
Oh,
Good ride.
okay.
We'll see you next year. So maybe that. I don't know.
All right.
Look, there's a lot of love for cyclists over in China, and particularly in Asia. You know, we saw how popular Japan was.
Oh,
The piss take of a criterium. We did see that, but look, I heard that was just a bit more of everyone was on the sesh, everyone was on the gas over there, and then they just had to roll around for an hour. But no, look,
on the Asahis.
yeah, more or less.
We're getting to that though. Okay, so Tom Pidcock, let's just see where he goes. Do you
Yes,
reckon he'll
keep an
be
eye
at
on it.
Ineos in 2026?
I reckon he will,
Okay.
because you tell me another team that has the capacity for him.
I think Big Tudor, they'd love him. Tudor will be the next big cycling power team.
What are they paying Alaphilippe?
Oh,
What do you reckon he's on?
I reckon they've given him about 50 watches. They've told him he can't wear those he can't wear the Richard Mille anymore. Which, by the way, I've got a story about those Richard Milles, right? When the
Aren't they empty?
That's right. When the riders are wearing those big, they've got the yellow wristbands or the blue wristbands. Pog's got one. Simon Yates, Cav's been wearing it for the longest. And I think that Cav,
since I mentioned Adidas.
yes, and I believe the owner, I don't know if it is called Richard Mille, but the owner of that company was the man he paid his salary when he was at Quick Step, when he said, I'll ride for free. Just give me a start. That guy, because he had a personal sponsor on, and of course he's still getting paid by Monster, by Oakley. He's still making millions of bucks a season, but he got paid a wage to be there by Richard Mille, apparently. But anyway, someone told me that those watches they wear in the race, because I'd see them in the photos, you'd be like, how could you race with that? Whether it's a sponsored gift or not, if you crash, which you will eventually, you're going to destroy the watch. Like, that's just stupid.
I would race on it.
Wow,
Without a shadow of a doubt, I'd slap one on, mate. Get me down to the
If you're
local.
earning $2 million a year and you got a goatee that makes you want to grow one yourself, you certainly would. But apparently they're just a shell. It's like a model that would be in the window of a shop. They don't actually put the real one there. But then I found out from the great man, Finn Fisher-Black, he said that,
yes.
who's the UAE boss? Maxton? Is that his name? It's Maxton. He's the bald guy. I think he controls everything. He's got a beautifully shaved bald head and it's tan as.
I think it's Mario Gianetti.
Okay, well, Maxton, whoever that guy is, he must be the team manager or the DS. Maxtin. Tommy searched it up. Bald, tan, Spanish dude. You show me a picture? That's the one. Okay,
Mario
I thought it was
Gianetti.
Maxton. He's Gianetti. Apparently,
Interesting character, Gianetti.
he would gift his Richard Mille to the rider that was sort of popping off at the moment. So Simon Yates would wear his actual real one. He would wear it. Simon Yates didn't own it. He was wearing
How much are these
the
things?
DS.
How much are these things cost?
I think they're €250. K.
Oh.
So
And
again, you're hitting that 60% tax bracket. Like
If
I
he
mentioned
rolled in
earlier.
the ditch that I was standing on
I would
watching
dig it
Tour
off
de
his cold
France,
body, mate.
let me help you get up there, good fella.
Oh, I thought you said he was dead. I'd say I'd dig it off his wrist.
Oh, look, if he crashed in a little gutter in France, mate, I'd be the first person there to help him up, and he'd be on his way. Days
We should
confused.
change the pod name to Grave Robbers. Grave Robbers.
We'd be roadside powered, presented by Zwift.
Yeah, presented by Bunnings. Okay, next segment. Okay.
Yeah.
This next one, we haven't found a name for it yet, but we'll call it, at the moment, we're going to call it In the Gun. Okay. So this is the seggy where we basically got to put a rocket up someone or something, an organization. Someone has to lift. This person has to do better. You'll get the gist of it once we get a few weeks into this. But Tommy, my first of
What's your
roadside.
gripe?
My gripe is these bloody post-tour, post-season criteriums.
No.
I love the cash grab, and I love the fact that the last one was in Japan.
These are old as time itself in cycling.
I know, mate, but it's like wrestling. It's like wrestling. When I found out that wrestling was fake, I threw all my dolls in the bin because I had the dolls. I used to go to Toys R Us, and I'd be like looking for my new ladder or the little table that would break in half. Used to love that. And who was the big guy? Like he was called Big Chocolate or something. No, it was like Sexy Chocolate. It's just this big, huge African-American guy, and he did the choke slam. But anyway, these bloody criteriums, I don't I love the cash grab. That's great. And I love the lineup of riders they get. It's clear they got a lot of money because you'd have to pay Cavendish a lot of money to get him at one of these criteriums. It must be close to $100,000.
You cannot. This is. Oh my lord!
I haven't finished,
mate.
Johnny. I haven't finished.
Okay.
This is my gripe. I don't have a problem with the fake races that gets everyone paid. I have a problem with the top tens because they have to be realistic. You have to be realistic. You've got a 61K criteria, which first of all, it's 90 minutes for a crit. That's way too long. Biniam, Roglic, Cavendish, Philipsen is the top four. Okay, that's maybe believable, never. But who comes fifth and how much did his dad pay for this? Nikolai Vinokurov was fifth. ahead of Degenkov. How much did his dad pay to slip his son in that fifth place?
Okay, maybe he ignored the script. Maybe he just went off script, mate.
Well,
maybe he just said, "Nah,
well,
I'm going to make a name. I need."
His dad's a cheat, so maybe his son just didn't even race, just pulled a number on. But and then you've got, it's like a whole mix. You've got a few Japanese guys in there. And I don't mind Yuki Arashiro, 9th place from Bahrain. I do like that.
Yeah, because there's a little bit of home flavour in there.
He's actually good, though.
Yeah, he's solid.
He's good, like 12 years of the World Tour. But come on, Nikolai Vinokurov, you're already getting paid to be there, my man. You don't need to pay. He's probably paid his wage that he got paid for this to be there. He's paid Dej. He says, sorry, mate, I'm going to be Vanderpoel, put you in the gutter like I did at Roubaix, and here's my $5,000 check.
Or alternative, maybe he had a little punt on himself. Maybe he's rustled up the boys and he's going, hey boys, load up. I will be fifth tomorrow.
Like father, like son.
There you go. Hey? When in Rome or Japan.
Where's Iran?
No, look, I like it. I don't mind it. It was a bit annoying. I saw video footage. I think Roglic was like on a breakaway and he kept on looking over his shoulder. He's in the red jersey as well.
Sorry,
and then he's looking at it and it's like he's trying to pedal backwards. Like he wants the bike to just slow down. He's dragging the brakes in this high gear.
When he tries to crash, he can't. But
and then Binny comes from nowhere. It's just shocking. But the boys got paid. They were all on the gas as well the night before. So like chapeau, they tucked in.
And Japan is beautiful.
Yeah,
mate.
you love it. You
I
move
love
there
Japan.
in a heartbreak. In a minute. I do like the old fashioned crits. Back, you go to a Belgie town square or something like that and the pros would roll in.
I like
still
that.
preset,
Yep.
but it'd be hard. And there'd be, a bunch of punters literally on the punt, on the gas, getting the frits, getting the beers. It'd probably be like 15 degrees, slight drizzle, and they'd go, oh, this is heaven. And they'd be paying through the nose for it, but good on them. But look, mate, I've got one in the gun as well.
Okay.
Over the years, we've seen sort of the peloton, or at least the under-23 division diminish, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's becoming smaller. I don't like the World Tour teams who don't have a continental feeder teams, and particularly the ones who aren't aligned with a continental team that isn't of their own making. There are teams out there like Jayco. They've aligned with Huggins, and I like that setup because it promotes an independent, semi-independent continental team that has the backing.
Yep. Keeps them alive too, though. Gives those continental feeders something.
A bit of heritage as well in the sport, There's teams like that have been around for so many years and they literally come to the table and go, we are a provider to the World Tour teams.
Yep.
We want to go out grassroots. Imagine if Bridgelane had that relationship with Jayco a couple of years. They'd still be around if they were run independently and they were given the budget.
They've put that many riders up, yeah.
Or ACJ would still be running a sensational organisation, I have no doubt. So I'm not a fan of teams who just, they wait until these teams who do have the Conti teams and they just nitpick from them. Don't like it at all. Get it out.
So the big power dogs coming in, signing them for 7 years, big money.
Yeah, get out of it. Bugger off.
Yep.
Because, there's like Hamish McKenzie. He signed with Jayco. He's gone and he signed with Jayco last year to turn pro next year.
Yep.
But he did this year with Hagen. So that's how the setup, in my opinion, should be.
And it's a similar thing with Will Holmes. I think he's the next.
Yep,
he's doing a
bang on
very
the money.
similar thing,
Yeah. Oscar Chamberlain as well, another Victorian. He had signed his year, he raced under 23 for Decathlon.
That's right.
But the agreement was always to go World Tour next year.
Yes. Oh, he's a big boy.
Yeah. One of those, I like that setup. Any World Tour team that doesn't have that, put him in the bin.
Yep. Okay. Fair enough.
I like these topics, Jet. They're going to be hard to beat for next year. This is Roadside, presented by Zwift, Jethro, Gammy, Nagel, Tom McCracken.
All right, Tommy, this is going to be my favourite segment I think we'll include in the pod. And I think as we get along, i.e. next episode, we'll just keep shuffling this up to the top before it's straight off the top. As soon as we finish the intro, this is it. This is
should be
what's going on in our personal lives, which this is really the pod, okay? Because this is the biggest bit of news. Forget Pidcock, forget Pog and his 10 million, whatever. He's still not in my tax bracket.
Pog and his
I'm making a comeback, Tommy. And when this episode is released...
What do you mean you're making a
comeback?
comeback?
I'm making a comeback, and when this episode is released, I will be racing again in...
Wait, what grade? Let me guess what grade you're...
5 days' time. You can guess, mate.
I think you're going to be rolling around in C grade.
Big insult. That's a massive insult. But a little bit of context, it's been about a year since I've raced a crit. Now, I'm probably a year before that, maybe I raced a couple here and there, but because I commentate, and you do as well, Tommy, a lot of the local crits, I've had to sacrifice that.
That's one way to put it, isn't it?
To be honest, I've raced so much, and I used to race every single race. I just I raced myself out of it, went to the gravel, became a gravel merchant, still am, but I think I've got something left. So we've got the NBC, the Northern Beaches Cycling Club. Of course, Jai Hindley was a member of Northern Beaches as well. We have a new circuit. It's about a year old down at Yanchep, Splendid Park. And yes, I am going to be in C grade. And I've even brought in a little prop. I've brought in a prop, my last win, Tommy.
What is that?
That is my gold medal, my gold Oz Cycling medal, state 30 to 35, the hardest category, Kermesse champion.
I didn't even get one of those when I won state open road title. Oh, my Lord. Give it here.
Obviously, all the biggest competitors were in the 30 to 35 category, which is the hardest category to be in. And you know what? You know what's funny? I think I was 29 at the time because your age goes up that year rather than when you actually turn it. So I did it as an underager.
You were bracket creeping.
I was bracket creeping, mate, and I got it done. But that was my last wins about 2.5 years ago. I've still got the medal, and I'm wearing it now. Now, just putting it on.
So you're going to be rolling around in C grade at Splendid Park, and for all the punters who don't know Perth,
the easiest
it is,
course.
But I've just had a look at the forecast, mate. It is going to be 35 knots. So it is going to be absolutely nuking sea breeze.
I spent 2 weeks in Amsterdam, mate. I spent 2 weeks in the Netherlands only this year, so I'm built for the wind. And this is where I am going to post my predictions, because you know I love putting everything on the line. I love saying it.
The mortgage.
The power rankings. I put myself out there. I never sit on the fence. I'm going to win easily. Now, I probably...
Wait, in C grade?
In C grade, yeah.
If you don't win in C grade...
Hang on a second. No, I'm not just sitting there.
Yeah, now it's gone from putting it on the line to expectation.
I was looking at my Strava the other day because I wanted to see how many kilometres I had run this year. It's over 500. So
run or ridden?
Run. Over 500, right? So 560 Ks, I think.
We're talking about a bike race here.
Yeah, and then I accidentally saw how many kilometres I'd ridden. 2,700 this year. So I haven't quite... I think my FTP is about 200. That's what I reckon it's at. Seriously, because I've got a power meter. I've got the beautiful Magene power meter on my gravel bike, and I haven't changed the batteries on my road bike. I've just changed the tyres to Pirellis. But from what I can see from my long gravel rides, I think I'm running about 200, because whenever I get to about 280 watts, start to breathe a little heavy. So I think I can sit in, do nothing on this easy course.
It's going to be hook and wind, mate. You're going to be in the gutter. It's going to be gutter to head to gutter to tail.
Yeah, but C grade don't really race like that. They just race a big blob.
I wouldn't know, mate.
The racing craft isn't there, and that's why I think I can sit in and win. So if I don't have another medal around my neck by the next episodes, what do I have to do if I don't win?
Oh, look, you have to install my wheels. You got to restore them with Pirelli tyres back to tubeless. They're not tubeless. You've got to set my tyres up tubeless. I've just thought of that on the spot because I was thinking about it on the weekend.
I will put a 65-year-old man in the gutter in the bin if I need to in the final sprint. Anyway, so that's my pledge. That's my pledge. I'm going to smoke them. I've still got it. I know I still got it.
I reckon you're going to get shelled halfway through. There's going to be a moment where the gap will the gap will open up in the wheels. The wind's coming off from the left hip. It's slight uphill drag, 1-2%, and you are just going to get popped.
We'll
I might
see.
have to come ride up, have a little gander, have a little browse.
Yeah, the 75Ks one way. What about you, Tommy? What's actually, just before we crossed you, I do have to acknowledge serious note.
Yes.
Matilda Reynolds, you are a bloody legend. Matilda Reynolds shared some very personal news yesterday actually, and well worth a watch if you go check it out on her Instagram Reels, but she shares really personal and just terrifying news, really. So Matilda, and I sent you messages anyway, you're just a legend, and I think the whole cycling community and everyone that she's met is behind her, and let's just hope it's one of those scenarios where what she has, she's able to live with, for most of the rest of her life, I suppose. And man, she's fit and healthy, and people smoke darts and drink piss all their whole lives, and they still survive. So I reckon Reynolds, I'm wishing you all the best.
Yeah, likewise. We all remember her phenomenal ride at the at this year's Tour Down Under. Driving that breakaway. So wishing you all the best.
Yep. But Tommy, mate, what have you got on your radar apart from watching me be crowned next Saturday? The hell of the north.
The hell of the north. That's what. Yeah, it is because it's north of Perth.
It's 75 kilometres north,
Lancelin.
and I'm riding there, so I'm really taking my kilojoules out of my body.
You're going to be popped by the time you get there. No. I am actually going to throw my two bobs in. I want to do the Grand Fondo for Nationals. But also, that's just a little thing in the background. Boxing Day Puppers is coming up.
Oh, yes.
I think it's like 40 days, 50 days. I don't even know. Give me the number. Give me the date, the countdown.
I'm not looking at my video on YouTube.
I want to see if I can get around Boxing Day Puppers. I have done, I reckon, 100 kilometres for the last 5-6 weeks. I've been shelled on Sunday puppers. I've been shelled on Saturday puppers.
Really?
I've been using it, mate. Perth is so fit at the moment because of Tour of Margaret River. I've been using every trick in the book. I have been right up the front for Majestic and then coming through last wheel. I make Boxing Day puppers.
Okay.
That's my grand final.
All right.
If I can get around for that, I've got to pull my finger out.
I like it. I like it. Make sure you look at my video on YouTube. It really gives you all you need to know about the great time. Now, Tommy, final words. If you want to watch this, right, it is going to be on YouTube. In fact, one of these cameras just died, so we'll probably lose Tommy for half of them, but the whole thing will be there. Of course,
convenient.
The TPA Instagram will be where you find all the stuff, all the posts, and the reels as well. We'll be putting some reels together, all the funny bits. You can email us a question because we will have a mailbag that will be rolling from next episode once we get a few. Well, you can't just email questions to ourselves, although we kind of have.
Also, throw us hypotheticals.
Oh, hypotheticals!
I like it. If you want to put on your hat as a team manager or whatever and just throw the worst, most horrid situation at us, let us know.
All weird ones, like would you rather shit yourself on a bus or a train? For me, it'd be a train.
Okay, you're winning your C grade crit, but then you're overwhelmed with the runs. Do you get off, or do you push through the last 10 minutes anyway?
No, Capolino style. I shit in my Capolino, throw it. Yeah, Jim. Anyway, because it's a bit grim down there. I hope you enjoyed this first one. Of course, it's our first episode, and we're just sort of
we're finding the groove.
The ropes.
We're finding the groove.
But send in the questions. I didn't even say the email. It's ask. I'll put it up on the socials because I haven't even made the email yet. But it'll be. It'll be ask at something.
Slick operation, this one. It's going to be something else.
Oh, legends. It was good. We'll see it. Actually, I forgot to say when we're doing it. We're doing a fortnightly show. We'll be back in a fortnight's time every Wednesday. Tommy, this was very fun. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, see you on the next one.